Show on FutMex Live.
Mexico with a win over Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, 3 much-needed points. Now comes Brazil. Welcome to another edition of the Mexican Soccer Show. I am Wiso from FutMexSource.com. This is the best video podcast on L3. Our World Cup edition is out. Let's meet our experts. From Santa Cruz, California, writer for ESPN FC, and has a cool Tumblr blog called The Big Verde. Cesarinho, how are you doing today?
Cesarinho, yeah. I'm doing well now that I get the name Cesarinho. I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I am doing great. Ecstatic with the win. Finally done. We made it. I didn't see it, us happening that way, and it finally happened. But let's meet Jason all the way in the East Coast, New Jersey. How are you doing, sir?
I'm fantastic. I'm looking forward to Brazil on Tuesday, and just working on just like a Jason-sized crater in the couch from just watching all these games and never really moving. So it's getting real over here.
It's getting real. You have a great website called Mexican Soccer Mexicana on the Mexican national team, and one thing that I know I've noticed is you got these little video blogs now. They're hilarious. If you haven't seen them, Jason, where can you? What's the YouTube name?
It's just like my Soccer Mexicana is the YouTube channel. You could find them there, or just on my site, soccermexicana.com.
Yeah, have you
very
have
informative
you done one for Brazil yet?
I did. I just put it out this afternoon. So yeah, it's there.
Definitely gotta watch that. And we haven't seen Joel in a while on the Mexican Soccer Show. He's busy writing. Usually does recaps for the FutMexSource.com. Joel, how are you from LA? Doing good?
Good. Pretty good.
Good.
Glad to be back.
Man of short words, but has a lot of knowledge. Well, we have
from the reserves.
From the reserves to the Mexican Soccer Show to the starting 3. Well, great show for you guys today. Of course, we're going to go over the win over Cameroon, deep diving in all the goals, the player ratings, also preview our Brazil game that's coming up, and go over some questions that you guys might have as fans. Guys, let's get started. This is the Mexican Soccer Show. El Tri started with the World Cup campaign with a vital victory over Cameroon. Mexico seemed to do it all. Win headers, shut down opponents defensively, and even overcome the rain. The 1-0 win was enough to silence those haters. The many of that said Mexico would be a mess with a line of 5, the lonely defensive mid. There's always room for improvement, of course, especially with the next rival being the Brasileiros with su jogo bonito. Cesarinho, start us off, sir. How did you see the team? What are you most excited about? What are your first impressions on that win?
To be honest, the team looked much better than I thought they would play. I mean, just looking at 2013, looking at how we stumbled into the World Cup, I thought we looked great. I think I mentioned this in an article, but if I had $1 for every time I said the word cohesion, well, actually, the joke I made is I would get a time machine to go back in time to give Piojo and the squad more time to train before the World Cup. But it was nice to see the team finally working well together. It was nice to see actual cohesion on the squad, and it's a shame that we didn't get 3 goals that match. And I think unfortunately that might be something that would be detrimental when we might be tied up against Croatia with 4 points. But let's not talk about that yet, because we don't know what's going to happen. It's a little too early for that. But I feel relieved. I feel good. I'm happy. I'm all right.
Good. I think a lot of fans are feeling relieved, especially happy. This is I haven't seen Mexico play this well, not even against Portugal. I know it was a great game, but we were playing down the middle. We were doing exactly what we were supposed to do, and everything was against us. I thought with the rain, the players, from the Cameroon team, the physicalness they had. Jolie, was this a great win for us playing well, or did we not play such a good team?
No, it was a pretty good win. I was surprised they scored 3 goals. It's rare to see Mexico score
3 goals.
That's right.
A lot of people were saying that this wasn't a Cameroon. It wasn't the bad Cameroon. I know that you said it in your preview that Cameroon wasn't going to be what everyone expected, that they had problems qualifying, even more problems than we did. Tell us about their preparation to the World Cup.
Well, they had that they had not played friendlies for quite a while, and then they lose to Portugal, and then they had that really good game against Germany. So people weren't really sure what to expect.
That's right, with the two.
Like which Cameroon would show up.
They also had problems with some of the players obviously not wanting to get on the plane if they weren't getting their bonuses, and some coaches changes coming in. So a lot of drama, the off-the-field drama, what I thought. But there are obviously people out there that the physicalness of the team and obviously the way that they were coming in that Germany 2-2, I think everyone got a lot. So, we did what we were expected. Jason, your thoughts on the game? Your thoughts on how we played? Just overall feel.
I was incredibly excited with the result, but also just the overall play that Mexico showed. I mean, they just looked like a unit. They looked like they were put together. They looked like they've been playing together for a while. It was great to see. They just work so well together. I mean, I was so excited. We saw the progression of Hector Herrera and what he's been doing over the past month or so. But then, so that was expected. But to see how well Gio slotted in there and how well he played with Peralta, it was very comforting to see how they played. And
it was exciting to see Gio just working hard.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? He was killing it.
Yeah,
absolutely killing it out there. And Cameroon had a ton of chances, and Cameroon definitely played poorly. I think even for them, with so many, because they had chances and just so many errant crosses and errant balls in the final third. It was okay, so they're being really sloppy right now, and they could have had more chances, but we're always going to give up chances. We're this roster, this lineup is going to give up chances to the opposition, but we need to create, and we created so much, and it was good to see. It was really positive.
I feel the rain affected Cameroon more than it did Mexico. So I think that's part of what Cameroon wasn't looking as.
Maybe.
I just feel that they weren't even that prepared. I mean, we were beating in their set pieces. They were shocked in how our set pieces were executed flawlessly when we were doing them, and it looked like they just weren't ready. They weren't a team that practiced, and you saw it because they came in a day later, 2 days before, and obviously the rain. So I think they were a mess. Hopefully they can come back and they can whip some butt against Croatia just for us. But that looked like a team. I mean, they were relying on Eto'o, which obviously did have his magic once or twice, but nothing too big on how we were doing that. But let's talk about the players that stood out on that Cameroon match. Cesar, who was the either one or two players that you could say? I know the man of the match was Gio dos Santos in the way it is, but is that your favorite? The man that obviously stood out for you?
I mean, I think Samuel Eto'o was definitely pretty dangerous up top, but I think it would have to be Aceves Ekolto. He was playing left back. He had, if you guys remember, there was one dangerous run he had where he beat Aguilar, and then he beat Massa, and then he provided a cross in. And he provided a couple moments like that really tested our defense. And I think that's something that we're going to have to really worry about going forward is, players such as Massa. And don't get me wrong, I love Massa. Well, actually...
let's stop it. No one loves Massa.
Well, I don't know how Jason's going to feel about that with him going to Cruz Azul soon, but...
Not great. It's not great. It's going to cause problems, but yeah.
I mean, I think he's been doing well recently. I used to hate on him a lot, but I think he's been doing well recently. But I know he's making me re-question how good of a player he is once again. But yeah, I think he really stood out. I think Atanji, I think that's how you pronounce it. I do not speak Cameroonian. For the goalkeeper stood up pretty well. But yeah, I think the problem with Cameroon though was they kind of set up as if they were playing. I mean, nothing against us, but they kind of came out as if they were playing against Brazil. And not to not give us a lot of credit, but they sat back a lot, and they were kind of focusing on counters, and their counters were so ineffective. And I think we were just a little lucky that game. Not to say that Cameroon's they're a great squad, but I think Croatia Brazil are going to be much bigger test for us.
Well, Cameroon, I mean, they have other players that are playing in great leagues, and they have great individual talents from looking at where they're at. I think the coach lost for. I mean, let's not talk a lot about Cameroon, but it'd be said that their coach was not even ready for Mexico at all. I'm sure they looked at the film. They said, okay, let's stay back because that's how Mexico has problems in 2013. Jamaica, Honduras, even Costa Rica did it at the Azteca, and I think that's what this coach studied, came down. But they weren't doing it even correctly because they were, not only were they holding back, but then there was so much room behind them that Aguilar and Layun was still going to the corners, which is not allowed usually when you do the bunker. When the U.S. plays defensively, even the corners, they won't get any corners. They allowed so much room between the keeper and the defense that there was enough room for us to go ahead and maneuver and do some crosses. Granted, the crosses weren't there. Layun didn't have the greatest of game crossing it. A lot of times that could have been because of the rain, and also Paul Aguilar, not having the greatest of crosses here and there, but still. I think Cameroon is going to look at it and just a horrible game that they did. And we took advantage of it, which we have not done in the past. How many times have we said that here we are and we can't break the bunker, we can't do it, there's all these balls going forward. We were able to score at least 3 times, but obviously we got called off twice. Talk about, I know we talked about Cameroon, but let's talk about who stood out for Mexico. Who's the players? Like I said, Gio Dos Santos was the man of the match, but Jason, who for you obviously stood out and did things over the top?
I mean, the Mexican Ribery right in the middle. He was the man of the match for me. I mean, he was unbelievable. I mean, he was all over the pitch. The passes were just fantastic. Like, he was the guy for me. Like, Dos Santos was definitely killing it, but Herrera was unbelievable. Like, wow. I mean, like, to think about where we were with him, like going back to the fall, like what we wanted, like hoping he would fit into that, and like he's really delivered. I mean, we're one game into it, but like I'm really excited about what we're getting from him right at this point.
Oh, he's coming in from the Portugal match, and obviously from just having those flashes of brilliance and magic. It was not a surprise, maybe a surprise for the world, but for us, we've been saying it. Jolie, for you, also with Herrera or anyone else that stood out for the team?
Vazquez. I really like how Vazquez played. He was just like a release valve. He was just anyone that needed support. He was always right there for the 1-2 pass.
It's funny because
his off the ball movement was just really good too.
I watch Vazquez and Leon, and he does that. When he's comfortable and he can pass the ball and he's doing it right. And I've been saying it. This is going to be the guy. Obviously, Medina is Piojo's guy, but Vazquez, I think he had the most accuracy, which is not a surprise. He always has had a great accuracy in his passing, and his height didn't. I know he's a short guy, but at the same time, I didn't think it affected him as much. Well, it could depend what obviously what the opposition was, but I think he did a good job. Great in analyzing that, Jolie. Other than that, Cesar, anyone else for the Mexican team?
No, just Herrera, Vazquez. I think Vazquez, what's interesting about him was like, I feel like he was somehow very solid, and I think he was almost kind of like an unsung hero, and I genuinely was really worried about him going into the game. I mean, there were so many reasons to be worried about it. He's like 5'5". He hasn't had that many caps he was playing.
Is he really 5'5"?
I read somewhere.
It's pretty tiny.
But yeah, and the idea of him like going into like his first World Cup, I was definitely worried, but I think he did a solid job. I think Ochoa, especially at the very end there, that last save was awesome. It was fantastic, and I think Rafa did well. I'm almost had.
I don't want to. Sorry. I don't want to stop. Like, I know everyone liked Ochoa, but for me, it just felt like he didn't. I don't know. I didn't think it was that great of a stop. I think it was a stop. But I feel like he could have stepped twice.
All saves get the great save when they're in big moments. Like, it's a big moment, so like it gets the great save treatment, even though it's like it's a save. It's important, so it becomes.
I thought it was a great save.
The all hands at Allstate, I think. Like it looked like that type of commercial. What you know? What I was happy that he did it, but it was like it's amazing save. Ochoa. I'm like, I've seen maybe. Because we're so used to Ochoa making these great saves that one was not that great. Because I thought he would.
But would Corona make that save? Isn't that the conversation we're supposed to be having?
Corona would have made it.
He would have made it with his feet. He would have made it with his feet. He would have jumped it.
I felt like anytime that you grab it, but yeah. So anyone else other than I'm sorry, Jason. I'm sorry, Cesar. I interrupted you. Anyone else other than Ochoa?
What I will say is I was happy with almost everyone on the field, but the person who I did not expect to be so underwhelmed by was Layun. I don't know how you guys feel, but I thought Layun was a little quiet in the game, and that kind of caught me by surprise. I think he needs to have a much bigger presence. He started off really well. Him and Aguilar were doing really well on the wings, but by like the second half, he wasn't even in the game. Like he didn't have any influence at all. And I think going forward, I think we'll really need him to step up his game. I don't know. It kind of caught me by surprise. That would have been the last player I would have assumed, at least for me, that wouldn't have had a good game.
Yeah, definitely. Layun. Although, I mean, he did have that great, he took it away. He fought in the corner, and he took it out from the defender and obviously gave it to Chicharito, who obviously did not make it. But anyone else who underperformed, obviously, you know, Chicharito doesn't have that many passes and, I mean, that much chances, and he has that one chance where he can put it away. I mean, how great would have been, you know, a 2-0 at the end if it wasn't, you know, if he missed out. Granted, I think he had all the time in the world to bring it down. He tried to at least, you know, a little something to bring it down and control it. It was hard. It wasn't to his feet. I think he even initial signal to Layun, you know, get it down here. But at the same time, you have to put those away if you're going to do that.
It's hard to judge someone off just like one chance that they had, but at the same time, like that's his only job. He's got to be finishing those.
And it wouldn't have been a big deal if we've seen him finish it, you know. But he hasn't scored for now over a year. So we have that. Anyone else that? How about defense, guys? The defense, I think it did its job. Massa, I thought over anybody else. Rafa did, you know, had the vision that he always has. Nothing out of the ordinary. But I thought Massa did an amazing job for those people that didn't want Massa or had Reyes. Massa obviously taking the spot over him just because he's looking better. He's a totally different Massa in my book. His physicalness was definitely needed. And up top, I think there was a head where, you know, he was there and he was able to clear some crosses from the Cameroon team and did some pretty good moves on the defensive. Anyone else that stood out defensively?
I mean, for me, like Moreno hasn't been quite as consistent as I want him to be and I expect him to be. There's nothing terrible, but I'm like, he's not the rock that I thought he would be at this point. Like he's getting a little shaky, and there's something about Layun, the way Layun and Moreno are working together that is not clicking right. They don't seem to be on the same page all the time. It's like not a huge concern, but there's a little bit of something troubling there.
Yeah, definitely. Who was it that on the last game they weren't really communicating? It was Layun and somebody else. They kind of bumped into each other in the last Porto
I forgot
game.
about that. Who did that?
I don't think it was Moreno, but I know Layun has coming in. So Layun hasn't showed his three lungs. You know, that we've seen him, you run up and down, but at the same time, when he has it on, I know that I'm getting some texts and some tweets from people outside of Mexico saying, who is that guy? He is definitely fast and he can even turn it up. So hopefully, overall, I think it was a great game. First 3 points, you know, is always really good. We've had great history in the past, at least in the last World Cups, of getting 3 points, or at least not losing in the first game. And overall, historically, we finally have beaten an African team. As many have posted, it was Angola and was it South Africa and Tunisia? And we lost to Tunisia. Was it in the 70s?
78.
78. I mean, we're losing in Tunisia in 78. Wow. So overall, great. It was ecstatic. Let's talk about the goals. This easily could have been a 3-0. 4-0, obviously, if Chicharito made it and if the refs. The first two games, obviously the Brazil game, the ref was involved. And now our game when I was watching. How many of you, cheered? I didn't even know it was offside. That's one of those things that when you think it's offside, you don't cheer it, and then you cheer afterwards. I was up and down cheering. You know, I couldn't even tweet. I couldn't do anything, and I was in awe that I cannot believe that was offsides. Cesar, I know you analyzed the goals. You were seeing how they progressed. Talk to us a little about the first goal on how you saw it. I think
it was all Herrera. You know, Herrera with that cross is a beautiful cross. And if we're actually going to be looking at the actual goal that counted, Herrera helped create that play as well. You know, he was the one who provided, the pass into Gio. So I think that once again solidifies like how important of a player that Herrera is. But going back to the first goal, I think unless any of you guys believe it, there's no denying that was offside. And then on the second disallowed goal, as far as I know, you can't be offside on a corner kick. And I know that the Cameroonian player, I forget who it was, deflected the ball, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's offside either, unless like one of our players would have hit it. It would have been offside. So it's unfortunate we didn't get those first two goals right there. And it was actually kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys were watching it, but it was like Taylor Twellman, who used to play for the U.S. men's national team, at halftime, even he was furious. Like, I've never seen Taylor Twellman like support anything Mexican national team related, but he was furious that those 2 goals were not counted. And I thought that was interesting to note.
Especially the corner one, because that wasn't even. I mean, I could see even if the Mexican players or whoever touched it, like what was he seeing? I don't know. It was a corner kick. I mean, it was just a. I can see maybe the first one. He for some reason he saw it offside, but if the corner kick, it's not even in the rule book that you can't be offsides off a corner.
It was really confusing. It was like I don't know. I actually had to go back on like FIFA.com and like look at the rules, like in case I was missing something. But yeah, it was really confusing. But obviously, the goal that we scored, it was beautiful. It was Herrera who created the play, and then that could have potentially been Gio's 3rd goal if the first 2 would have counted. He could have had a hat trick for the game. That would have been amazing. He could have
been up there with Benzema.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah. No, sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, obviously, Gio's first 2 goals and the 3rd goal. You said something. The 3rd goal, obviously, Herrera going in. What I really liked is the fact that it was originated through the middle. It was there was a couple of passes here and there going through. We haven't seen that in forever, especially with a very strong, fast team to go through the middle and score that way. And Oribe Peralta getting that the rebound off the keeper and obviously going in. Good for Oribe Peralta. He wasn't having the greatest of games, but at the same time, I think he was taking people off the mark, and Gio was left open several times on how it is.
Yeah.
Your assessment on that last goal, Jason. I mean, I know that I spoke to the middle, but what did you like about it?
Well, I kind of like going off what you're saying. I like the thing I like the most is that. And this goes for the attacking play overall, is that there wasn't like a dependency on the wingbacks. Things were coming through the middle. Like, I think we've kind of defaulted. If there's one really fault to what Herrera's been doing and what the players have been doing in the system, is that a lot of the balls just are constantly defaulted out to the wingbacks, and everything's kind of coming up to the wingbacks. And we saw that coming up to the middle, and that's just the beautiful pass from Herrera, and then Gio's through, and that Gio work rate was there, and it just all set it up. And like, I mean, I think we could count he's a smart player, and he's constantly keeps going. So I mean, it was good stuff.
Good stuff, like our friend Tom Marshall would say. All right, guys. Well, Jolie, anything else on the Cameroon game that you liked? Something you didn't like? Your final thoughts on the game at all?
Guardado surprised me.
Oh, that's right.
He hadn't had a good game with the national team in a long time, and I was surprised to see him start and play the way he did. It's really reassuring.
Was Guardado doing the job that he was there to do? That's my question. Because
to me, it was up until he got tired, but
I think that's what it was. I think he was doing fine, and I don't think he's a 90-minute player anymore. Maybe not. You can definitely see the level. I mean, there were times where he just could not keep going, and I think he was trying really hard, and obviously he starts getting all sloppy. It was raining, so don't get me wrong. Guardado, rain means sloppiness. I mean, Guardado's always been a player where he throws his body out a lot. He does have a few plays, but same time, I saw it coming with Fabian. The subs. Go ahead.
Also, the team as a whole, it maintained its composure. They had 2 goals disallowed, and in the past, the team, as soon as things wouldn't go their way, they would just collapse.
Yeah.
So to see them stay, keep playing the way they were, that's pretty good.
That's a very good assessment. And we look back on the last World Cup, obviously Argentina, that disallowed goal from Tevez to Messi to Tevez. I mean, or was it Agüero? Anyways, I try to not keep that in my mind. The team fell apart. And then last you saw Osorio kind of going forward, but it was great to see that we were still going. It would have been horrible if we didn't get that win. I mean, but we got it, 3 points. We won't remember that we got robbed. 10 years later, we just know that we got those 3 points and we won. So, great job overall. Final thoughts, Cesar, on the Cameroon team? On the Cameroon game.
My only worry is that I'm hoping a week from now, or a week and a half from now, we're not going to be hating ourselves, or hating the refs because we didn't get those 2 goals, and because of goal differential, we won't go to the next round. That's my only worry.
That's right.
I know, because although we will, I'm confident that we're going to tie against Brazil, but I know more than likely. I know more than likely we're probably going to lose to them. More than likely, Croatia's going to beat Cameroon, and then it's a good chance that we're going to tie, Mexico and Croatia, and then it's going to go to goal differential. And so it's gonna. I hope it doesn't end up hurting us in the end, and it would be truly unfortunate if we didn't make it to the next round because of those 2 goals that should have gone to us.
Definitely, nobody wants that at all. So nobody wants that goal differential. But I think, hopefully, we're gonna do well against Croatia. Not sure about Brazil, but I think we'll be fine.
We just have to score 5 or 6 goals in Brazil, then we'll be fine.
That's it. We can do that.
Yeah, that's it. We'll be all right.
All right, Jason. Last thoughts on the Cameroon game.
No, I think there's the conversation that needs to be had still about Guardado, and whether he does have that place. Because I think he put in the work, right? He was all over the pitch. He was contributing defensively, but I don't know. I kind of worry about him in the midfield versus that Brazilian midfield and versus that Croatian midfield, which are just massive steps up in class from what Cameroon was bringing.
We'll see how it is.
We can afford that guy there that, I don't know. We'll see. So that's my kind of I'm super excited about the way Mexico played, but there's still that question mark for me with Guardado.
Yeah. Fabian coming in. I saw it coming. Obviously, Fabian has more of that control, has more of the creative mid I think that we also need to keep that possession. So we'll see how Guardado. No shots from the outside, which is kind of surprising.
Yeah.
I would have thought, Layun would have been. I think Layun did have one towards the beginning.
One from Herrera too.
One from Herrera going
way
in.
off.
All right. Well, that concludes the what we saw against Cameroon, and obviously Mexico getting those 3 points. Let's switch it over to what we're gonna see against Brazil. The hardest game in this World Cup for us right now. We've seen it, but for some reason everyone looks and they feel good when we play Brazil, even though history we've seen that they probably beat us way more times than we have played them. But the win just kind of still's in there. I mean, ever since the Confederations win, I can just remember the Copa America win in 2007 with Nery Castillo doing his wonders, and obviously the recent win with the Wembley win in the gold medal that we had. So let's talk about Brazil, but first let's talk about something very serious, something that is on my mind. Let's bring this up, and I want to see what you guys.
It's on your mind, huh?
It's on my mind because I just can't get out of it. For you fans that don't know, very, very serious picture was tweeted, was actually Instagrammed from Ochoa. So I'll put that up right now. There it is. Your thoughts on what the hell is going on with this picture?
We should probably just recreate it, right? I'll buy a cowboy hat. I'll put Wiso has a little. Just send me over that little logo, Wiso, and I'll get super glue it to my hat. It'll be a good time. And we have the same bodies that they do, right?
Right,
yeah.
Right. I think I'll be Fabian. All right. So I don't. Obviously, this is just a joke, but at the same time, this was coming out for all you ladies that watch the show. Here you go. It's not only
all 0 of you
for men, and we just talk about football, guys. Here you go, girls. We'll show you some skin. I know the Croatian players were recently videotaped completely naked. And they're refusing to talk to the media in Brazil because they were in the pool somewhere. But that's obviously extra, throwing that in there. Apparently the team was out celebrating because there's so many fans at the hotel and it's pretty hot out there. So they try to, give the fans something while they were working out. I don't know where he gets that hat though. Hector Moreno gets that hat. But anyways, Gio decided to be no.
In the conscious.
Gio said, no, I am not the Gio that I was in Tottenham. I am not Gio dos Drinkos. I'm going back.
He's staring from above.
I'm concerned about Fabian over
Shaking
there.
his
I
head.
mean, like, are we supposed to let Fabian out of his hotel room? Like, isn't he supposed to be locked down? Isn't someone supposed to be watching him? Like, he's out there with his shirt off. Like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. It's troubling.
Do they have a buddy system? Do they have a buddy system? Who's his buddy? Who's watching him?
Do you have your exit buddy?
Who has Fabian? Like, who is this man? Like, somebody should be marking him, right? Like, I don't know.
All right, enough with that picture for you guys. It's comical when they see that. You know what? What I really like is the fact that team is united, and I said that in an interview recently where you saw that team in the Oro documentary where they were just clowning on each other. They were having fun. They were a team. They were in sync with each other. They were friends. I mean, there wasn't that much drama within the team. I liked it. It was great the way that they were all together. And I see that they're having fun. They're tweeting out pictures with the Instagram. And Piojo obviously has that psychological factor of it. So that's always really good going into someone being a team that's united. And we saw that speech, that Tena did, and it's something about that they are united. So hopefully it goes well. They don't get in trouble, and they just fall asleep and wake up and go practice and fall asleep. And
I'm sure they're just going to go immediately to sleep.
Immediately. Let's talk about Brazil. Let's talk about what we were expecting. I know that obviously we have looking at probably the same lineup, or does anyone else have any other news? But I don't see Piojo changing really anything on the way that he is. Let's talk about what he's still going to have that back five. Reyes or Massa? Probably the only questions I know somebody had out there. What do you guys think? Should Massa stay in there, or Reyes will take his spot?
I mean, that was Massa's best performance that we've seen in a long time. I mean, I think they're probably not seeing. My guess is like in training in the camp, we haven't they never really saw enough out of Reyes to put him in there, and Massa has Reyes' confidence, and it seems like he put in a performance. So, I mean, it would be hard to see him being replaced at this point.
Well, I guess
that's the unfortunate thing about Reyes. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Cesar.
Oh, that's the unfortunate thing about Reyes, though, is that I think we all like Reyes. We all want Reyes to be playing. He definitely seems like the better option. But every time I've seen him play for the national team recently, he's so timid. He doesn't have any presence in the defense, and it's really, really unfortunate because I would have assumed that, and I know he's only 21, and he's the youngest player on the team, so we're going to have to wait for him, unfortunately. But I would have assumed by now, maybe it was foolish to assume this, that by the World Cup that he would have been one of our starting defenders. So I think we're going to have to wait until the next World Cup to see Reyes, and we're just going to have to hope that Massa continues to do well.
I think there won't be any. The defense will stay the same. Of course, I don't think there should be any changes. There weren't any changes. Salcido did come in at the end. It was a little bit controversial. I think some people were saying why. I think Aquino was going to come in and then obviously didn't. But I think it was just either to waste time and they saw the physical. And so Salcido's already a player that he's thinking of going in right now. We'll see if he's going to go in or not. Jolie, any can we see any changes, Jolie? I mean, on anything?
Not unless Piojo has a surprise.
Against Brazil?
Yeah.
Maybe Mesa?
Chicharito in goal?
No, I don't think it would be in defense. I probably think it would be in midfield.
No, I mean Mesa to come in just to fly by and just play one game of the way that Mesa owned Neymar on that game. I don't see any changes other than maybe what about in the mid, Jason? I obviously talked about Guardado.
I mean, there's a chance. I mean, you could see the way Guardado tired. Maybe it's only a couple days later, so maybe he does swap out Guardado. I really doubt it. I mean, I would bet quite a deal on seeing the same starting 11, but. I mean, I think that if there's one position where you could see something different, I would see Guardado out, maybe even Peña. I don't think he's going to give Fabian the start at this point. I think he sees Fabian as a sub, and I probably do too. Just because of I think at least what we saw with Guardado is that he's going to put in a defensive job, and we're going to need a little more of a defensive job here. And I don't know if we're going to get a good 60, 70 minutes of defensive work out of Fabian as much. So
At the same time, Pena's been looking pretty tired too. So I don't know how much we could really get out of him.
Hasn't played in a long time though.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Pena is that he was fine during the end of the obviously the Mexican League with Leon, just had great games, and then it wasn't doing that great. Obviously, the first friendly wasn't with Blanco there. It wasn't the greatest, and then he started seeing. I really thought that maybe the Luis Montes injury really got to him, and staying fit to make sure to make it to the World Cup, no injuries. So I'd actually like to see Pena in there with Vazquez, against in that formation. And I think that's where I don't think Piojo is that keen to put in Fabian in. And I think
Fabian.
I know
Fabian.
Put him in. I also think so. I might see. I think I might see the next sub being Pena, just to that physical. See if he can go in, and especially if Guardado is as tired against the Brazil team. But who knows? Let's talk about Brazil. Jason, I know that you've been doing some work on the previous matches that we've played against Brazil and the way that they see, especially in the first match against Croatia. My opinion, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't impressed with Brazil. I mean, take it away.
No, they were definitely out of sync. They were a little rusty. I mean, the thing is, like, I think Brazil have been overinflated to a certain extent. Like they're not like world beaters. They're not like this unstoppable force that like we've like over the media machine has created them to be because they are hosting. So they get lifted up higher and higher, and they become the favorites. And because they're the favorites, we lift them up even higher, and we assume they're this unstoppable force. They're not that. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the world, no doubt. But there's holes, there's weaknesses. I don't know. Looking at the way they were also playing, I mean, I think the thing that the way we react to that game is that we're looking at Croatia as a team they should just handle, and they're not, because Croatia's a quality side. I mean, so they're up against a very strong team in Croatia. So they looked a little out of sync, and but as far as what going into this match, I think there were some definite things that, as Mexico supporters and looking at the Mexico team, we could be really excited about, because I think there's some things that are there to be exploited.
Like
especially in defense, yeah.
So defense,
yes,
those are the things in defense. Go ahead.
Like Alves and Marcelo were getting killed down the flanks, and they weren't getting any help. Paulinho, Luis Gustavo were not there to help them. And thinking about the way that we create offense so often with Layun, Aguilar flying down those wings, I think they're going to have some space to work. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then also there was just a lot of like gaps in that defense. Like I don't know, I could really see Gio putting in quite a performance here as well. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to score, and we're going to need to capitalize. But they're going to be there.
You mentioned it. Obviously, the players, their defense being the weakness, and obviously Neymar. How he is. He's been playing greatly. How we'll be able to contain him? Will we do what we did in the past Mexico games? Jolie, history obviously has we've beaten a good Brazil. Talk a little bit about how that impact, obviously on Tuesday.
Well, I think it helps the players' confidence. They go up against Brazil, and they've beaten them before. They've gone up against some of these same guys, so they're not intimidated.
Well, obviously the Confederations Cup last year, we got demolished by a totally different team. Will that affect it? Who knows?
Well, I wouldn't say demolished. It was 2-0, and the 2 goals were like from Neymar, pretty much.
That's pretty demolished.
It was pretty one-sided. It was pretty one-sided.
I'll say like 3-0, 4-0. I'll say it as being demolished. Or
I just feel that we couldn't create it really.
They did create chances. They just couldn't put it in. Mexico went without any strikers to that. But
considering that's like that was like that was Mexico's low point, right? Like that's where we were in the process of falling apart.
Even at the low point, it wasn't demolished. I've seen Brazil beat Mexico 4-0 and completely outplayed them. In that game, Mexico was able to have possession for good stretches during the game.
Yeah, obviously the historic win in the Wembley, do the world really do they really remember? I mean, how many players? And if anyone knows, it'd be great. How many players of those are in the starting lineup of Brazil? Would be kind of good to check out. But the big,
10 from Brazil 10 from the Olympics are now on the roster. But I don't know how many are in the starting roster right now. I guess it would be Reyes. Yeah. Reyes is sitting out. Salcido sitting out. Corona sitting out. I guess it's. I think. So it'd be. It'd be Herrera, Peralta,
Gio.
Yeah, I don't think Gio started the final game.
No, that's right. No, he did not. No. That's coming.
Yeah.
As much as obviously from Mexico, but in Brazil was more my question: how many of those players? So that'd be kind of good to see how many players were that are going to be there. I mean, obviously Neymar, Hulk, Fred,
Oscar.
Yeah, I think Oscar was in.
So I mean, it wasn't like the cupcake team of Brazil, which everyone keeps saying that they're sub 23. No. Marcelo was there. So we'll see. Obviously, where.
Oh. See if he scores another own goal.
That'd be amazing.
Just do us a favor, Marcelo, if you're following us.
So what? Should we be worried? I think we can do it. I really think that we can surprise the world. We have the opportunity to do it, and I think we can. And hopefully we go out and playing, a very smart game. I think Piojo will give the players the talk that, just like Tena did, and hopefully motivate them the right way. And we'll see that a lot of fans are traveling, and from Mexico, obviously a lot more Brazilian fans will be there. But Mexico always has a great turnout in the World Cup game. So I think it's going to be great. I think everyone's excited. This is the one match that you could not find tickets for, and is number one match sold out. Faster even than the final.
It has the potential to be. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, faster than the final. Faster than the opening game, actually.
Yeah.
Has a potential for what, Cesar?
I think it has potential to be probably one of the more exciting games of the group stage. It's going to be really open-ended. Both squads right now have kind of shaky defenses, and both squads have fantastic offense. It's going to be. Yep. It might be a little crazy. It might be one of the more high-scoring matches. Maybe not, Holland, Spain high scoring, but I think it'll be a very, very good one.
We'll definitely have.
They're all high scoring at this point, right?
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah.
10 games, over 35 goals, I think it was. A lot of goals, 3.5 goals per game, especially in this World Cup. But talk about, obviously, tactic-wise for Mexico, the same. Nothing's really going to change. That's what happens when you have a good game. But hopefully we'll see that this game means a lot to the players, and we'll see that they actually will be, taking it like they did against Wembley or before that Copa America. They're not afraid. And the style, which is I like, that style and the possession, they're not afraid to take that away and keep possession from it. They're tall players, they're tall physical players, but they do like to play with the ball. Not your normal Brazil, one thing to say. This isn't your normal Brazil that likes so much of that playing with the ball, the finesse that they have. They do counter, and they have fast players. Watching out for Neymar. Containing Neymar will be key, especially since we've done it before, sticking one guy and just being in their face. Not as physical as Honduras was today during the game, but at the same time, that's not getting trouble. And I think obviously getting in trouble with cards, yellow cards for us. Moreno has a yellow card, doesn't he?
Yep.
Yes.
He's our only one.
He's our only one, so just kind of being careful on the yellow cards because it's going to be key for that third game. I think the Croatia game is how we're going to get to the next round, and now probably facing the Netherlands if we're seeing how everything's going to play out, which I think is a lot harder than Spain if everything keeps playing out. And in my opinion, the tall, fast the Netherlands team with such great skill, I think we have a better chance of beating a Spain. Height-wise, but at the same time, we'll see where that takes us, guys. Let's.
I was so excited when Australia was doing well the other day. I was rooting for them so much. Please, just do well for us. I'd rather play you than any of the other three squads. They're actually doing pretty well in their game. They did. Definitely rooting for them.
Anything else on this Brazil match? It's going to be a great match, I think. I'm pumped for it. Any last thoughts on Brazil?
I agree with Jason. I feel that The wingers are going to be key for Mexico. Layun, Aguilar. If they could take advantage of that space. I mean, they're going to have to do way better because against Cameroon, they weren't connecting. So they're going to have to be more accurate with their crossing.
Very good, especially with what Justin said, just the weaknesses of Brazil. All right, we do have some questions from our Twitter followers. Jason, that Cesar, I know, tweeted out any questions, and we'll be answering them. Let's throw them out there. Go for it, Cesar.
Well, actually, the first question I got was from Jolie asking who the cutest player in the World Cup was.
Let's bring up that picture one more time.
Nico Kovac. He's the coach.
I thought if he was healthy, Frank.
Wait, is that the Croatian coach?
Yeah.
Doesn't he look like
did you see him suited up, dude?
Yeah, doesn't he look like what's his face?
Smart suit.
From what is that guy's face? He's an actor. Gordon Levitt. I thought he looked like him. Anyways, another question.
All right. So I guess we'll skip that one. So we already answered most of the questions that people asked, but there's one more that we got from Salvador Mares, who asked, after seeing Brazil's performance against Croatia, do you think Mexico has a chance to beat them and take first?
Honestly, no. I don't think. I mean, we have a chance, and I'm not going to be like, oh, you hate it, but I really don't think we're going to win. It'll be very surprising. I think we can do it, but if I have to somehow bet or there's, which I don't like doing as much. I'm not allowed to bet anymore after 2008. I don't think we can win against Brazil. It's too much, and it's okay. A tie would be amazing. Obviously, the win would be great, but I just think the home, it'd be really, really surprising. I think even more surprising if on that 5-1, or Costa Rica, Uruguay. Never mind. No, Costa Rica, Uruguay would be a lot, but that was a huge, huge surprise. But no, in my opinion, I don't think we're gonna win, and but we could tie. I'm hoping for a tie. I think we can do it, but for a win would be asking too much. But I didn't think we could win in 2007 either. But for the Wembley one, I was really confident we could win that. The 2012, I thought we could do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being, a pessimist or whatever, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that Mexico is going to give up more chances than they're going to create. But it's just going to come to who capitalize. Who's going to have the huge save? Who's going to come up with the killer shot? I think Mexico can win this game, but they're going to have to do it on fewer opportunities.
Very
Simple.
well said. Very well said.
Yeah.
Jolie, what about you?
No, I agree with you. I think the home field advantage tips this game in Brazil's favor. We've beaten them, but in neutral venues or at home.
Yeah.
This time we're in their home, and I think that will play to their favor.
Fortaleza,
especially if they get the favorable calls that they got the first game too, and we didn't get as much favoritism from the officials in that first game either. So hopefully that swings back to the median for both of us at the same time.
Sometimes if refs are good, sometimes they're bad. I still think that Chicharito against France, I thought that was offside. I know I'm going to get hateful emails, but I felt that was offsides. I was like, looking at it, but believe me, he was more offsides than Gio was. I'm sorry.
Well, now it's all balanced out then, I guess, huh?
Cesar, you obviously asked a question. What do you think? I know you have us in the quarterfinals. In your prediction.
What was that?
You have us in the quarterfinals in your prediction.
No, I have us in the round of 16.
Oh.
Who says quarterfinals?
Oh, I thought you did. Never mind.
No, I said round of 16.
These two guys.
Wait, earlier.
Well,
I know. Earlier, you did say that we were going to win, though. Hold on. Back up. In the podcast earlier, you did say we were going to win and shock the world, didn't you?
Well, even if we were going to win, that doesn't necessarily mean we're going to go to the quarterfinals.
Okay, gotcha. So what are your predictions for the Brazil match?
Just like everyone else said, I think we're going to have opportunities. We got to capitalize on them. But it's going to be the same thing with Brazil, and I think it's going to be a crazy game. I feel like this is definitely one of those games where anything can happen. It could be us winning 3-1. It could be them winning 4-0. It could be a 2-2 tie. I think because of just all the opportunities that everyone's going to get, I think it's going to be a crazy game.
Yep.
I think there's going to be some. I don't know. It's pretty easy to predict this, but there's probably going to be some questionable marking defending from Massa, maybe a late a late foul by Rafa at some point. But those are my predictions.
It's so funny. I think we're gonna hopefully get a tie. But I don't see us getting a win on this one, like I said. So next question, Cesar.
That's it, actually. That was the only one, unless you want to tell me who you think is the cutest player in the World Cup.
No, definitely.
we actually answered all the questions earlier in the podcast.
It was something about Guardado and something about...
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because we had Carlos. Yeah. You would ask if is Guardado good enough? Is Fabian a better option? I guess that's something we could talk about right now. Do you think that's something we've already discussed enough? If Fabian or Guardado
pretty much
is better?
I think, except for Jolie, I think we all kind of just said Fabian would be a little better. Jolie is stuck on that. He saw Guardado having a great game. I don't know what game he was watching, though. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, my friend.
Guardado's actually been doing all right. He's been doing all right. I don't know what happened. Yeah, I think I posted something on Twitter, during the Portugal game, where Basta was having some seriously good tackles, and Guardado was having great long shots. I think I posted all caps, what year is it? It was just so confusing to see Basta and Guardado doing so well. But I think Guardado should, and I think he still deserves at least another half against Brazil, and I can see Fabian coming in. Right now, I'm half and half between two.
I have a question for you guys. What about the next sub? I mean, you're in. Chicharito was the first sub for the offense. Do you see him coming in first again?
Yeah, I do. He also created one chance.
So he
missed the sitter and he created another one.
What would you guys have it? I mean, do you think he should be the next one up, or should we have the Jimenez and even maybe Pulido come in? Or would be sending a lot? I don't know. I think that if Chicharito doesn't get the next sub in, obviously I think it's saying a lot. I don't think you want that from... We know what his quality and what he needs to do is play. So I honestly think that he'll be in the field again. And hopefully he can score, and hopefully he can do well. I think he did well against Portugal, and I think he was holding down the back. The more... You're going to have those sitters, and but we've already seen in this World Cup, the greats, missing and however it can be. So... But
what I would like to see as far as substitutions, I would like to see Herrera consider maybe even a halftime or a fairly early sub, depending on. So I think we're going to depend on the Brazil, like we were saying, and Joel was saying that kind of really depending on the wing backs a lot in this game. So I could see taking out someone like Aguilar and sending Guardado back to left back, sending Layun over to right back, and putting in a fresh midfielder. So I could see that as a good sub option in this game.
Definitely. One thing that we didn't talk about is how early we're playing in the week. Obviously, in the rounds, Mexico, Brazil play, and Croatia and Cameroon will already know the score and what happened. I think that's going to favor at least Croatia. They can see, what they have to play. Obviously, that those third games they're playing simultaneously, but a whole day has to pass before Cameroon and Croatia will playing. I think they're playing on the Wednesday after Mexico plays. A whole day before. Will that take into consideration the way that they're going to play? I don't know if Mexico.
I don't think it matters for Cameroon.
Either way.
Cameroon needs to win. I don't think they care what happens. Yeah. They face Brazil last. They need that win.
And I honestly, for some reason, I think Cameroon's going to step it up, and I think it's going to be a lot harder for Croatia because they had it was a lot harder for us towards the end when Cameroon said, "Okay, we're not going to stay back anymore. We have to attack," and they created more chances. Yeah. At a point, I'm like, "Oh my gosh, they might score. It might be a 1-1." I almost saw it. Hurry up and end this game. I think at the 84th minute. Hurry up and end this game because we're losing it on the physicalness. We're losing on it, and obviously Ochoa getting that save. Not a lot, but there were some chances out there where I think they were playing within the box.
Beautiful Ochoa save, right?
The beautiful, wonderful. All hands, all stay Ochoa. I don't know why, man. I've been a hater all today, man. Chicharito. I bring something back to the podcast. Not all. It's all smiles.
Also, it might favor Cameroon that Eto'o might not play.
It might favor Cameroon that he won't because he is.
Yes, they have that young striker Abu Bakar who's been doing really good.
Yeah.
And I was surprised he didn't play against Mexico. So
as was I.
I'm expecting him to get the start.
Over Eto'o, say goodbye to Eto'o, no more?
I don't know, I think he got
Sounds
injured,
like he's
but
out.
he's
Pretty
been
sure.
heavily criticized though for a long time. He just doesn't play as good for
He
the
actually
national
retired
team as he does
from
for.
international soccer.
Yeah. He's
He
pretty
actually
old.
retired from international soccer a while back, didn't he? And he decided to come back. Was it a year,
Yep.
year and a half ago?
Yeah, I think they asked
Yep.
him to.
It's always good when they ask you. Kind of like Cuauhtemoc Blanco. They ask you to come back. He's there. We'll see. I think favorable for Mexico, a tie maybe would be favorable for Mexico, or a
Sure.
Cameroon beating
I would say-
Croatia.
I will go with the Cameroon win.
Because you
Just
know
because
that's-
Cameroon, because they faced Brazil.
That's
last-
ideal.
Yeah.
That's ideal.
Croatia not getting any points is probably the best
Right.
for us. So we get in that game, even if we're at 3 points, we lose. It could go to how many goals are conceded to Brazil. I know it happened 2002 with Croatia, Turkey. Costa Rica and Turkey. Costa Rica having a great game, and it came down to Costa Rica how many goals they got scored on by Brazil, and they weren't able to make it because of that. Even though they tied and they didn't lose the other games, so they won one other game. So I think it comes down to how many goals against Brazil you concede, and obviously how they do against within each other. But hopefully Cameroon can take that. Don't see it happening. But I think Cameroon's gonna be a different team. Hopefully. All right.
Yeah, I hope so.
Any last words? Any last thoughts on the game, Cameroon? Anything on Mexico? I know they've been training. They're training hard. Fortaleza, I think it's a very humid city. I don't think it'll play any factor in any of them. So we'll see. Definitely we'll see. All right.
Let's see. Last word. So I looked it up really quickly because during one of my ramblings earlier in the podcast, I said I didn't know how to pronounce one of the names in Cameroonian, which is probably the same thing as saying I don't know how to say something in American. And I want to just clarify that they speak French in Cameroon. So, ignorant Americans right here.
I was going to call you up on that. I think it's not Cameroonian, but they speak French, so.
Ignorant American right here.
It's okay. We all make mistakes. Okay, well, this has been another successful Mexican soccer show. Obviously, FutMex Live. We hope you've enjoyed as much as we have. Definitely tweet it out to your friends and show it out. I know we're getting a lot of questions during the podcast, and we are. Mexican Soccer Show is tweeting during the games throughout the World Cup. Cesar from ESPN FC's writing weekly columns, 2 or 3, 4 articles a week.
Jeez, it's
sure.
like every day now, actually.
Every day.
After this, I'm going to go write one really quickly. So
definitely follow him on his Twitter and at ESPN FC. Jolie usually recaps all the Mexico games for FutMexSource.com. Any relevant news he's writing. He is at Jolie Aceves on Twitter. And Jason, Soccer Mexicana, also has a YouTube video blog after the games and before previewing it with a nice spin on it. Definitely check it out. At Soccer Mexicana. And you can follow me at Wiso Vazquez. I will be traveling to Brazil in a couple of days. Hopefully,
that's right. You're
able to do
going.
that.
Forgot about that.
I will be going over there, getting
Are
everything
you one
ready.
of those fans cheering like outside the hotel? Are you going to take off your shirt too? Be cheering with the rest of the squad?
Maybe you'll maybe see something out on there. Definitely have all my costumes, Chapulín Colorado, all ready to go. No. We'll try to definitely get something going. I know we'll have one podcast after the Brazil game. So before I leave, I leave on Wednesday. So hopefully we get something in there for sure. But thanks, guys, for all predictions. We've said it. Hopefully, in our hearts, I know when the game starts and we have that national anthem, it goes out. I believe we can win. And I think that's everybody. We might just be the euphoria and the nervousness are gone and we're ready to go. And it's versus Brazil. When the national anthem is playing, I'm sure everyone will be like, we can do this. But we'll see how it goes, guys. Well, thanks a lot for watching and sharing. Let's keep talking about it out there. Enjoy the World Cup, guys. Enjoy it.